Are the reports of recent weeks true that you hauled your secretary, Greg Moriarty, and Angus Campbell in for a meeting and said you expected better from the department and you expected excellence? What was that in relation to?
That's not exactly correct in terms of how that meeting is characterised, because there's not a meeting particularly of the three of us. But let me be clear, I absolutely expect excellence, and indeed both the Secretary and the CDF have completely supported me in my call for that within the Department of Defence and within the ADF, and that has been communicated by myself to the broader senior leadership of the ADF and the Department of Defence. I don't think this is a matter of great controversy. It surprises
what's it in relation
me that the opposition have sought to make it such.
What's it specifically in relation to?
Well, I think what we need to see in terms of the leadership of the Australian Defence Force and the Department of Defence, and I'm not just talking about the two leaders, but the broader leadership, is that all that we do is done with excellence, that advice is timely, that advice is accurate, that we are expecting of ourselves the same amount of excellence that we would expect of somebody who's in the infantry or somebody who is maintaining an aircraft, where there is excellence and complete competence.
Well, what hasn't been timely?
From the top down.
What hasn't been timely? What hasn't been accurate? What sparked this?
Because I think there are issues of culture within the senior leadership and the more general leadership of the ADF and the department, which needs challenging, and that's something that, as I say, I've had complete collaboration with from both the Secretary of Defence and the CDF. There is an issue in relation to culture, and we should be seeking to have a culture of absolute excellence, and that is the point that I've made. I've also made this observation, Andrew, that in terms of diagnosing what the cultural issues are, I think this is less the problem of defence, albeit they have been, this is where it has flowed, as it has been what's happened in government, and specifically under the former government. I mean, when you have 7 different defence ministers churning through the portfolio over the course of 9 years, that has an impact on morale, and it has had an impact on morale. When you go out and make all these fanciful announcements, $45 billion worth, and there's no money behind them, it's obviously going to have an impact on morale, and it has. I mean, when you leave the country with the oldest surface fleet sailing since the end of the Second World War, which is what the former government did, that is going to impact morale. So I think there were those issues within the ADF and within the department, and I can understand how that has happened. Going forward, though, we need to address that culture. And yes, government has its part to play, and we are certainly seeking to do that by being very clear about where money's coming from, not engaging in the make-believe of the former government, and we intend to have consistency in leadership from government in respect of defence. But the other side of that is that we also then need to challenge defence to, meet the issue of that morale and make sure that there is excellence in all that is done. Okay. I think the Australian people would expect me to hold the Defence Force and the department to a standard of excellence, and I'm surprised that the opposition regard that as a controversial proposition.
All right, nearly out of time, Deputy Prime Minister. Do you expect to win the Dunkley by-election this weekend? And if the government were to lose, or there was to be a major swing against the government, what would that mean?
Well, it's a challenge. I mean, the starting point here is Dunkley's on a 6.3% margin, and the average swing against governments in by-elections is 7%. So you can do the maths. I mean, that's the starting point as we walk into this contest. So this is going to be a really hard fight. But Jodie Berlier is doing a fantastic job representing Labor as our candidate. She follows very much on in the legacy of Peter Murphy. And what Jodie knows, and we all know, is that the fundamental issue in Dunkley is costs of living. The Labor's tax plan will see more than 70,000 constituents in Dunkley receive a tax cut, taking home more of what they earn. The vast bulk of those are getting more than what they would have received under the Liberals' plan, and that's in addition to what we've done with more affordable childcare, cheaper medicines, fee-free TAFE. I mean, the people of Dunkley know that in this government, you've got a government which is completely focused on the question of the cost of living. The household budget is the issue in Dunkley. What they also know is that Peter Dutton has completely vacated the space on cost of living. He literally wants to talk about everything other than the cost of living, everything other than the household budget.
I feel like I'm getting that ad I played at the start of the program.
That will be the issue.
I think I'm getting that ad.
Well, it's a matter of fact, Andrew.
Look, just very quickly, on Sunday Agenda a couple of years ago, an interview with me, you said that your instinct was that you wouldn't get in the way of Australians in a tax cut. Do you concede the change to the stage 3 tax cuts in terms of thousands of Australians does exactly that?
No. I mean, this is a tax cut which sees Australians get more of a tax cut. I mean,
and some less than was legislated,
I
have to say that.
But Andrew, the vast bulk of Australian taxpayers are getting more as a result of what we have done. I think actually that position is consistent with what I said. I mean, we always understood how important a tax cut was going to be. We're delivering that, and we're delivering that in larger number for the vast bulk of Australian taxpayers.
Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Andrew.